Hello, welcome to Meet the Thriller Author, a podcast that features interviews with authors of mysteries, thrillers, and suspense novels. My name is Alan Petersen, and I am your host. I am also an author of thrillers, and that is why when I decided to start a podcast where I would be interviewing fellow authors, I decided to focus on the genre that I write in and that I love, which is the thriller genre. And for simplicity's sake, by thrillers here, I'm talking about books that you would find in Amazon's mystery, thriller, and suspense category, as well as its subcategories of crime fiction, such as police procedurals, psychological thrillers, espionage, those type of novels. These are the authors that you'll be meeting during this podcast. Okay, so with that out of the way, stay tuned for the latest episode of Meet the Thriller Author. Hey everybody, welcome to Meet the Thriller Author. This is your host, Alan Petersen, and for this podcast I'm going to be interviewing Sue Coletta, who's the author of the thriller books, crime books, Wings of Mayhem, Marred. She also runs a pretty great website and blog for writers of crime fiction, so we're going to talk to her about her books and all her blog and all that good stuff. So Sue, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Alan.
For our listeners who don't know about you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
I'm a member of Mystery Writers of America, Sisters in Crime, and International Thriller Authors. I have two series. The Mayhem series, Wings of Mayhem, is book one, but it's also a standalone. Blessed Mayhem's coming out this fall. And then I have the Grafton County series. Marred is book one, but that also can stand alone. And Impaled, not sure if I'm loving the title yet, but that should come out before the holidays as well.
So they're part of a
two
series?
Separate series, yeah.
Okay, two separate series, but each book is a standalone, but they're same characters?
Same characters, same setting. Yeah, different murder spree. I write about serial killers mostly.
Okay, yeah, I was seeing that the serial killer breaks into the home of an author. So yeah, that Marred one, I have to check that one out.
Yeah. And I have The Rendering, which is a collection of dark flash fiction.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So I'm not too familiar with flash fiction. Can you explain
Flash fiction are stories under 1,000 words, complete stories with a clear hook beginning, clear midpoint twist, and twist ending. The short form is a lot of fun to write. I usually write flash fiction at the same time I'm writing my novels, just to break things up a little bit, and they're a great way to experiment with different characters, or if you're not quite sure if this character is worthy of a whole novel, I use them in a flash fiction piece, and it's great. Works great.
And how do you publish those? Do you put them on your website, or you?
Well, that's the only fiction that I have self-published is the collection of The Rendering. Actually, is the name of the book. I put it on all the book sites: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iTunes, Smashwords, any online book site.
And so how long have you been writing?
I've been writing, in my early 20s, I wrote children's books, believe it or not. It's a vast difference from what I write now. But I did that for a number of years, but I wasn't seriously writing, just kind of having fun. And I only got serious about getting published maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
And why do you write why the change to thrillers and crime fiction? Is that the genre that you like to read before you started writing it?
Yeah, I write exactly what I like to read. Mm-hmm. Hard boiled. I offer an honest peek behind the crime scene tape. Sometimes that's frightening. Sometimes it's graphic, but it's always factual. And I enjoy those kind of movies. I enjoy those kind of books. I always have been really interested in what makes people kill.
And where do you get all your information for your books? All this, you obviously do a lot of research, and you share a lot of your research on your website, which is awesome for aspiring writers. How did you start doing all this research and getting all this information for your books?
I've always kind of been a researchaholic. Years ago, I was a paralegal, and I think that kind of threw me into loving to do research. So I do it anyways. So I figured I would share what I learn on, with other crime writers, so they don't have to waste hours. I mean, I can get lost for days in research. Days. It's like, going down a rabbit hole. And I finally emerged 2 days later, but I have some great ideas, That's usually where I get my ideas, too. I start with a murder, and then I build my story around some freaky murder.
So you've always been interested in the subject matter. I was the same way as well, and my wife at the time was my girlfriend, was very concerned with my reading habits, especially back in those days before Kindle. So I actually had books I had to bring home. She's
right?
Like, what is this? She still married me though, so were you the same way? I was reading about serial killers and Ted Bundy and Ed Kemper and all these people.
Thankfully, my husband shares that love. So, but when I wrote the book 60 Ways to Murder, he likes to say he sleeps with one eye open.
He better not tick you off too much.
Right.
Just a quick segue on those books, because they're fascinating. As one of the new series that I'm working on is a crime, which is usually I write political type thrillers.
Oh,
and
cool.
So your books are really fascinating to me. The nonfiction stuff, was that just you started saying, hey, I got all this information, I'm going to just share this with other authors as well?
Well, yeah, Crime Writers Research, that book stemmed from my blog, because people kept saying, gee, if only I could get all this information in one place. So I figured, well, I'll give it to them in one place. So I took like the best of and made Crime Writers Research. I also have a resource page on my website that has links that will keep you busy for months. I mean, there's everything on there, including police turned crime writers who love to help other crime writers. I also have a crime chat on Twitter every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And that's for writers. I have 8 of my closest law enforcement friends and me. We answer questions for crime writers with the hashtag #ACrimeChat.
Yeah, I was looking at your research page. It is one of the best ones that I've seen. It's like sites that I thought I was pretty good at the sites out there, but you really linked to some pretty cool resources there. And so just I'll have this all in the show notes, of course, but it's SueColetta.com for the aspiring writers or writers who are listening to the podcast. I really recommend, if you're going to write crime fiction, to check out Sue's website for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, and also for the fiction books, of course, for the novels, but the nonfiction stuff is pretty impressive.
Thank you very much.
So what are you working on right now? Are you working on, you said you had 2 series. Do you work at them at the same time? Or do you
Well, normally, no, but right now, yeah. Right now, because the deadlines are both looming, I'm working on Blessed Mayhem as well as Impaled. I'm also working on a standalone called A Deadly Yearning that I've kind of been pecking away at that for months in between other stuff. It's just one of those that I fit in here and there. And I'm hoping to get that one out by Christmas, too. So, yeah, I'm juggling 3 novels, and I have a short story due Sunday for a new anthology. It's a dark fiction anthology called Run. That's going to be out this Halloween.
Wow, that's pretty. I'm getting nervous just listening to that schedule.
When I say it out loud, I kind of blow my own mind. Yeah.
Who are the protagonists in your books? Are they all set, and like where are they set? Are they usually set? Are they set in your hometown, or do you pick different states or the countries?
Well, Mard is set in Alexandria, New Hampshire, and that's where I live now. Sage Quintano is a crime writer. Her husband, Nico, is the sheriff of Grafton County, and there's a snarky deputy, Frankie Campanelli, that, and I rotate the 3 point of views. So although Sage is the main protagonist, there really are, 3 intertwining plot lines. Sage conducts her own investigation while Nico and Frankie conduct the police investigation. And then Wings of Mayhem is set in Revere. I used to live in Revere, and I used to live all over that area. And so that series, it has her, and then the detective has his investigation going on, and in the Wings of Mayhem series, you get the killer's point of view as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He was a lot of fun to write too.
Yeah. I can imagine trying to get into the killer's head.
Yes, I love doing that.
Do you find it hard, like if you're doing all this research and you're looking through all these crime scene and photographs and all this? Do you find it? Is it hard, or do you just kind of?
I thought that I got kind of immune to looking at crime scenes because I've seen so many of them, photos of crime scenes, of course. But I went to the Writers Police Academy earlier this month, and they showed us crime scene photos of this one sicko, what he did to his victims. And that one has stayed with me. So I think it was because he just took murder so far that it's really kind of haunted me since. But normally, yeah, it doesn't bother me. I shouldn't say it doesn't bother me. I should say you get used to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I could imagine like a police officer, eventually.
I can't even imagine what they go through.
Yeah, seeing that in real life.
Yeah, and I mean, kid murders, forget it.
Oh yeah.
Those have to be devastating.
I've heard a few authors mention that Police Writers Academy. Sounds like it's a lot of fun and an interesting conference to go to or training to go to.
It was a blast. Oh, it was so much fun. They have these impromptu crimes that happen all around you, and so that's really cool. They had a deadly head-on collision where actors are acting it out, and oh my God, the cries when this mother saw her 20-year-old son go through the windshield and die. I mean, it just goes right through you. So it's really more of an experience than a conference.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, they have actors and everything. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And they're very convincing, too. Yeah, they brought in helicopters for this crash, everything.
Oh. Huh.
Oh, yeah, it's quite something. I can't wait to go back next year.
So it sounds like it's a very interactive experience. I just assumed it was just like a regular, sitting down there and someone's talking.
Yeah, no. I mean, they did have a couple of talks, and but you also study at the real police academy. So, and you take courses like death investigation, and so I mean, it's just so much fun. But you learn a ton. And you can use that knowledge in your books. So,
okay, yeah, I was just going to ask you that. You find that that's something that you're using now for your books?
There is one little tidbit that I got a bomb squad officer to tell me, and nobody was around. So I'm definitely using that. But the other stuff, yes. I mean, as far as procedures go and so forth, absolutely. I researched. I've as we've said, I research anyways. But I did learn several things that I can use in future books. One of the things that was very surprised me was how heavy their gear is. Mm. Just walking around with their belt and vest, it adds like 30 pounds.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so also you actually you put on their gear and everything, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
it's a ton of fun.
So you mentioned before that you start with a murder where you're writing your stories. So where do you usually get your ideas? Do you like take them off like the headlines or the news or?
Um, no, and I've thought of doing that because I love ripped from the headlines things. No, I dig and dig and dig and dig until I can find a murder that isn't commonly used. So, with Mard, I found a true story and then I added to it to make it fit my story. Like this, I read an article about a woman hanging in an abandoned barn. So I started with that, but I can't really tell you because I don't want to give it away. But
Well,
they look like angels hanging in my story. So like I'll start with it might be a real case, but then I'll fictionalize it to make it creepier and a little cooler.
Well, that was a great. That was a great hook the way you described it. Just the way you said. I started with a woman hanging in a barn. That right there's creepy.
And that's the cover of the book too.
Oh,
is
okay.
The woman hanging in the barn.
Oh yeah, there's the barn.
Rings of Mayhem. It's actually a real murder method, and it's called the Bloody Eagle. And wow, when I read about this method, I said, oh my goodness, I have to use this in my next book. It's so freaky, but true. So that's really what I love that. It adds a little extra creepiness to it.
And do you outline your books before you start writing them, or you kind of just start writing?
No, I'm a planner.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a pantser. I wrote 5 novels that will never see the light of day from those days. But now I plan everything. Blessed Mayhem is so intricate. I've had to plan every single scene.
Yeah, it probably helped you too, since you're doing 2 different series and the short stories. It'd be kind of hard to.
Well, that's it. Yeah, Besides I use an Excel spreadsheet to plan my stories, but then I have index cards and scribbles and notebooks and notes everywhere, So you don't have this character with blue eyes in one chapter and all of a sudden they have brown eyes 3 chapters later,
And do you write with Word?
I do,
oh,
yeah.
I was curious what people used to write their books with.
I have Scrivener, but honestly, I haven't even had the time to learn to use it.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve on that. That's for sure.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a great tool, but it's time consuming just to learn it.
So, are there any similarities between you and your main characters?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I take a piece of me for almost every character. Sage, she's a lot like me. She's the one in Mard. And Shawnee in Wings of Mayhem, she is actually me as a teenager with that, sarcastic wit and say whatever pops into your head. That type. So I exaggerated her, of course, but yeah, they've both got pieces of me. Even the male characters have pieces of me and my husband and kind of a mixture.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you that too. Like if you incorporate like friends or family, say, so your husband's in there too a little bit, huh?
Oh yeah. He's a lot in Nico. I even included my dogs. And I think it's a great way to pay tribute to dogs that have passed. Mm-hmm. So I like to include animals in all my stories too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was one thing my wife, she read my books. She's like, "Why didn't you have any dogs in there?" Because we have 3 dogs. We love dogs. I'm like, hey, I never thought about that.
Yeah, it definitely makes them more believable because you see the interaction with the character and the animal, especially if you have a character like like Shawnee, who's she's really rough around the edges. So by giving her, I gave her cats, but by giving her an animal to love, it showed her soft side. So it's a nice way to do that. I also do that with my killers.
And when you're writing, where do you usually write? Do you have a dedicated place, or you like write all over?
I write normally in the sunroom until it gets too cold that I can't write out here anymore. I also like to write on the deck in the nice weather. Mm-hmm. But being in New England, we do have a stopping point where I got to bring it back into the house. Yeah. So, but the sunroom is definitely my favorite place to write.
And do you still find time to read, or I know you have such a busy schedule?
Yeah, I start every morning reading.
Oh, great! Yeah.
Yeah, I love to read. Mm-hmm. And I don't really think well, this might rub some people the wrong way, but I really think you need to read.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're going to write. Mm-hmm. You need to know what's out there and what people are doing and how they're doing it.
And do you read in the genre and the thriller genre?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Right now I'm reading Face of a Killer by Robin Bursell.
Oh, I'll have to write that one down. Robin Bursell.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, I agree on that too. I know some of the authors I've interviewed don't like to read in their own genre because they're afraid they'll get influenced. But I think it's important to understand what's going on in your genre and to get inspiration. And I agree with you on that one.
Plus, I want to be influenced by Karen Slaughter and Lee Child. Yeah. That's not a bad thing, right?
Yep. And I've always liked to read thrillers. I'm not going to stop now.
Right. Why would I stop? And then some writers say, "Oh, I can't possibly read while I'm writing." I don't understand that either. Yeah. I mean, are you afraid you're going to start writing like Lee Child? Would that be a bad thing?
Yeah.
But to each his own.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever works for the other person. But yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Right. Right.
So now I see, obviously from your site, you interact a lot with the writing community. How do you get a lot of feedback, and how is that?
I've been so fortunate with the writing community. I've made so many fantastic friends, and it all stemmed from my blog. Yeah,
the murder blog.
Yes, murder blog. I started that about, I think it's 4.5 years ago, and wow, I can't even believe how far it's come in that short period of time. And I was just posting what I'm passionate about, crime, but it was a nice way to meet the writing community, and they are the most supportive people on the planet.
Yeah, you got some great interviews on your site too. I saw you have Graham Hetrick, who's got that new show on ID, The Coroner, or I Speak for the Dead.
Yes, that was fun. I snagged him from Twitter.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, whenever I see, I'm trying to get Joe Kenda now, because I just love Homicide Hunter.
Yeah, that's a great show.
But whenever I see, somebody from Twitter that I want, I immediately strike up a conversation. He actually saw a post, Graham saw a post I did about killing fields across the country, across the globe, really. And he liked the post. So that was how we ended up first talking.
Yeah, I haven't. I've seen it. I've seen I watch ID a lot, but I haven't watched his show yet. But it's on my to-do list because I saw the commercial. It looks pretty cool.
Oh, it is. I'm really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. And you read a lot about forensics too, and so I'm assuming that plays into your work. So your stuff's very accurate.
Yes. In Marred, there's a whole scene where Nico, the sheriff, is teaching a new deputy blood spatter analysis. So I had to learn it in order for Nico to teach the deputy. And in book 2, he is teaching him about entomology. So same thing. I have to know it pretty good in order to let that play out. but it's so much fun learning that stuff. I've taken several forensic classes too to help.
And do you find like what are some of the challenges when you're trying to bring your novels to life?
Well, that the biggest challenge is police officers read our genre, so I don't ever want to get the eye roll. You know what I mean? Like, oh God, that would never happen. So, I mean, that's always forefront in my mind is what if a professional in this field read this scene, would they believe it? And I think that's the toughest thing is making sure. Like in Wings of Mayhem, I have a whole anatomy session where the ME is explaining the murder to the detective, and he's, rambling off anatomy because that's how MEs would speak. So I was so paranoid about that I actually brought it to a friend in the medical profession and said, did I get it right? Just because that's always my biggest fear, that I'll get it wrong.
Oh, so you actually had like somebody who is in that field kind of fact check it for you, kind of?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. I have quite a few coroners and cops and profilers and federal agents and medical and yeah.
Oh, that's a good. That's a good network to have.
It really is. It's really. I've been very lucky.
Yeah, now, I noticed on your website too. You have the Serial Killer Project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, the Serial Killer Project. Oh, that is founded by cold case expert and retired NYPD Joe Giacolone, and he teaches the Serial Killer Project in a university in New York, and the university name escapes me right now. He originally started the group for that class, and eventually it will help that class, but I'm not sure how yet, because he's kind of keeping me in the dark, even though I'm the communications manager. So for now, we post all kinds of things about serial killers on there for everyone to enjoy. But eventually, it'll go to YouTube, and it will involve that class.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah. He also has the other group that I'm also the communications manager of is Forensic Science. And that is, we post cool medical breakthroughs, and, there's just a wealth of information there.
And so now, do you make sure that you write every day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have like a word goal or just...
I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I write 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week. Although this summer I have been taking some playtime. But yeah, I try to write every single day. I mean, there's finding that balance between marketing your books and writing is difficult. But I try my best.
And do you have different publishers for your two series, or are you working with the same?
I do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mard is with Tiergar Publishing, which is a publisher out of Ireland. And Wings of Mayhem is with Crossroad. They're in the U.S.
Oh.
Yeah, no particular reason. I just, I have different goals with each series, so I went with the publisher that can help me meet those goals.
Mm-hmm. And do you and so you're working right now on the second series, and you say you want that one to come out this year. Is that your current work in progress?
Yes, Blessed Mayhem's just about done.
Oh, okay.
So the ebook version will definitely be out October, November. Print takes like 6 months after that. With the Mard sequel, that publisher's a little backed up. It might not be till, March till that comes out, but hopefully it won't take too long.
And do you have a lot of back and forth when you're done with your manuscript with the editors and stuff, or is it pretty clean?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, my Mard, we had 3 rounds of edit, but Wings of Mayhem, not really. I mean, it was just a quick. The more you write, and the more you learn about how each publisher does what, because everybody has a little bit different way of doing things. You just kind of make the manuscript to fit that publisher. But yeah, since Mard was my first professionally published novel, there was a learning curve there, which is why I had more rounds of edit. Wings of Mayhem, I kind of had it down, so.
Well, definitely going to be looking forward to that. And I'll, like I said before, I'll have links in the show notes of all your sites and everything. But you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, right? You're pretty active on both?
Yep, on Twitter, I'm Sue Coletta 1, and same with Facebook, Sue Coletta 1.
Okay. Yes, so the listeners can find you. Okay, I won't take any more of your time here. But if before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say to the listeners?
I hope you enjoy reading my books as much as I enjoyed writing them.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Meet the Thriller Author. You can learn more about this podcast and about future interviews over at the website at www.thrillingreads.com/podcast. And if you haven't done so yet, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. You can do it on Stitcher, or you can do it by email over at the website. I'd also like to invite you to join the mailing lists so you never miss an episode. And I'd also like to invite you to visit my author page at Facebook, Alan Petersen Books, and also my website, alanpetersen.com.